Transition to talk about the measles a little bit here. Kansas has had the third most measles cases in the U.S. since since the recent outbreak that's come out. How do you feel about the messaging that we're putting out in Kansas as it pertains to families with young children, as far as doing what they need to do to prevent measles when it comes to the vaccine? Do you think that we're doing enough to prevent that here?
You know, absolutely, and just want to emphasize that both Secretary Kennedy and myself have come out encouraging parents to talk to their doctors about getting the measles vaccines, the MMR vaccine. Usually you started at 1 year of age. I'm an obstetrician, so I have to give the caveat that pregnant women can't take this particular vaccine, but I certainly value the sanctity of the patient-physician relationship and encourage all families to talk to their doctor about this MMR vaccine. It's been around since the 1970s. There's less than a 1 in a million chance of any type of complication from it, but on the other hand, there is a chance of hospitalization and even death from the measles virus itself. Maybe 1 out of 1,000 people, if they get the measles, have a serious complication. And I want to just back up and say we've only had 37 cases in Kansas, and 30 of the 37 were people that were not vaccinated. 1 hospitalization. I was down in southwest Kansas myself, where all 37 cases were. Stopped by the health department in Haskell County. They've got plenty of vaccines. I think they've got their arms around the problem. This is mostly a group of unvaccinated people. And just would encourage all families that haven't had their children vaccinated to talk to their doctor about the pros and cons, and specifically about the MMR vaccine.
And do you believe if more families were getting their children vaccinated for measles, that would bring up the herd immunity? I know the HHS secretary has talked about maternal immunity and talked about how, the possibility that the MMR vaccine doesn't provide maternal immunity. Is that something that we need to do more research on? I mean, what's your understanding as far as how immunity works and how the vaccine plays into that?
Yeah. So the best thing to do is to get vaccinated before you get pregnant, and it'll protect mom, but it might not necessarily protect the baby. But that's going to be a very rare instance, and I think we can make this as complicated as we want it to be, but really this is why you need to go talk to your doctor about it. But certainly pregnant women should not get the MMR vaccine, but we'll give a lot of them postpartum as well. And then the babies won't get it until they're a year old.
One other thing I want to ask you with the HHS Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., some of the comments that he'd made on the autism rates and the study that he's putting together to kind of get to the bottom of what he's calling or has suggested as environmental factors that could be causing the rates of autism to increase here in the United States. How successful do you think that study will be?
Well, I think we should look at the big picture of how do we make America healthy again. 60% of Americans have a chronic disease. We've seen the incidence of ADHD, of autism, of mental health, just an explosion of these. And part of it is because we broaden the definition, make no mistake about that. But regardless, we're seeing an uptick. And I do think that the environment has something to do with it. What we eat probably has something to do with it as well. And at the end of the day, we don't really know. So let's figure out why young Americans are having a higher incidence of cancer. Colon cancer, very common now in 30s and 40s. It used to be a disease of people in their 60s and 70s. So there's a lot of our cancers are occurring at a younger age. Alzheimer's occurring at a younger age as well. So when I look at the big picture, what's causing this, I think that the environment, that would be the toxin exposure, and the food we eat has something to deal with it. Maybe 10% of it's genetic, but let's find out what is and what isn't causing that, and then let's try to work on it.